Today we're going to be learning about Avenue 3, which is an area in downtown Miami that has a lot of restaurants, a lot of condos and whatnot, and Steve will elaborate on that. But I did have an opportunity to sit down and have some coffee with Steve, and the story is remarkable, and the work that he's doing and his passion is outstanding. And so I'm so happy to have the opportunity to share with you guys today, Steve and Avenue 3. So Steve, take it away. Woo!
Okay, thank you so much. We are all on a journey in life, and sometimes things take an unexpected turn, and that happened to me in 2016. I decided to make Miami my hometown, and I've set about to better understand this place and its history. Believing in making a difference anywhere I've lived, that's why I'm here. And thank you for listening to this presentation on Avenue 3 Short Street. And thank you, Elizabeth and Adriana and everybody for letting me join today's meeting and for the kind introduction that we didn't read, but that's okay. What you were going to say was, please welcome Steve Dutton, the founder of a community-led project named Avenue 3 Miami. Steve retired and moved to Miami in 2013 after holding leadership positions at a major airline, launching a startup business in the computer industry, and eventually was CEO of a nonprofit serving the homeless in Fort Worth, Texas. And I'm using the experience I gained, actually, having taken a leadership program like this about 20 years ago when I was living in Fort Worth, Texas. And guess what? I've fallen from Miami, known by many as the Magic City. I started Avenue 3 Miami in 2018 and convinced the Miami Foundation to take us on as our fiscal sponsor. This allows us to operate as nonprofit, and there are no staff. We are volunteers who wish to accomplish change on behalf of our community. And we're initially focused on downtown. There are 3 areas of focus, and they are streetscape transformation, community outreach, and the purpose is to build a vital neighborhood. The first is transformation of the street, Northeast 3rd Avenue. How many of you recognize this view? The photo is taken from Northeast 1st Street, looking south towards Flagler Street. The street today is closed to all but local traffic due to the reconstruction ongoing on Flagler Street. But it's not the first time it's been closed by us. And our goal is to transform the street permanently as a shared street with greater emphasis on pedestrians. One reason is to recognize the historic significance of the street. After I met Dr. Paul George and historian Casey Paquette, I fell in love with its history as Short Street from the beginning of our city in 1896. You might already know some of what I'm about to share. I'm sure Liana will, but maybe not. When the city was first incorporated on July 28, 1896, this street was just a block from the Biscayne Bay shoreline. And it was an upscale residential street with homes of the most affluent of the very early pioneers settling here. Names like Colonel William Burdine, who later developed the Florida store, Burdine's, and Edwin Waddell, the city's first real estate agent, or James Leeming, who built the Leamington Hotel, which, oh my gosh, still stands 100 years later on Short Street. It was the preferred pathway for horse-drawn carriages from the original train station built by Henry Flagler near today's Freedom Tower, south to his famous Royal Palm Hotel, which he built along the Miami River on land donated by his dear friend, Julia Tuttle, another early change maker. Over time, more buildings came to the street, including the Elks Lodge, the YMCA, and many new hotels which faced east along the bay shoreline. One of my favorites is this, the Elks Lodge with its Moorish architecture that was located at today's corner of Flagler and Northeast 3rd Avenue, behind the McAllister Hotel, which once stood. It's all been replaced by 50 Biscayne condominiums today. This building even survived the Great Miami Hurricane of 1926 because it was built with reinforced concrete. In the basement was the Golden Dragon, a popular bar frequented on Short Street during the 20s. Despite even the days of Prohibition, Miami was right out there. I learned the story of Jane Wood Reno, the mother of Janet Reno. Jane was a strong-willed frontier woman and a heavy drinker. At the saloon, she was telling those present about her wrestling with an alligator in the Everglades, and a nearby man overheard her and claimed, "You're a liar." Jane calmly arose from her seat, grabbed a pitcher of beer, poured it over his head. He sat there so stunned, and it's a good thing, for she was trained in martial arts. He didn't know, so there's no telling what might have happened had he confronted her further. More change came to Short Street as years went on. And notice the building at the back of this photo with the name Everglades Hotel at the top left. Believe it or not, this is where Biscayne Condominiums, where I live, is today. This is looking north on Short Street. Here's a comparison photo of how things have changed. Now, the photo on the left, I didn't mention, if you notice on the left side, about halfway back, there's a red brick building. Above it was signage that said Union Bus Station. It was the Greyhound bus station back in the mid-century. And because of Hurricane Irma in 2017, the roof was taken off. And so consequently, on the photo on the right, you'll notice on the left-hand side, there's really an empty space there. It's an empty space right across from Ceviche 105 restaurant, very famous. And it's surrounded by an ugly green, cloth fence or whatever. Well, we're going to hopefully change what that looks like. Notice all the cars in both photographs and what I said earlier about wanting to make this street predominantly a pedestrian street. It'll be shared, and we'll get into that in more detail. Here's an historic photo of our Miami skyline. Notice, now we framed Avenue 3 or Short Street by 2nd Street and Flagler. Right at the bottom of those arrows is where the street is. It's behind some buildings. It's just one block west of the shoreline at that time. Notice two things: the lovely Royal Palm Park at the south of Short Street that provided the city dwellers at the time of a wonderful outdoor space for gatherings and athletics. It was also where the carriages would jog to the right, just behind those trees, continuing south to the left to the Royal Palm Hotel. The street still does that today. Northeast 3rd Avenue at Flagler then becomes Southeast Flagler, Southeast 3rd Avenue, I'm sorry, continuing down to the river. It wasn't until, this is the other thing, notice the shoreline just a block from Short Street or at the bottom of the photo. It wasn't until the mid-20s when the city finally succeeded in purchasing the strip of land along the shoreline and the Elser Pier, which you'll see at the foot of Flagler Street. This enabled construction of Bayfront Park out of soil pumped from the bottom of Biscayne Bay. What a view it has provided our city. And here's the view looking ahead 5 years. This is actually a photo rendering. After construction begins next spring of the 100-story Waldorf Astoria Hotel and Residences. This photo of downtown Miami includes the 250,000 residents who live in the urban core of our city, plus the other 500,000 who either commute to work or visit each day. Our goal is to attract them to visit Avenue 3 Short Street and enjoy eating at one of the nearly 20 restaurants that line the street or are just inside its buildings. One of my neighbors says, exploring Avenue 3 is an international travel experience. I can dine one day in Italy, the next in Asia, Latin and South America, even Serbia. And I have a good friend. She says, an authentic global traveler, explorer will head straight to Avenue 3 to feel the pulse of urban Miami. We started to activate our vision in October 2018 with a 4-day volunteer event, painting the parking lanes, laying end-to-end 15 tables with the help of decorations by a nearby florist. And we built a model Avenue 3 parklet in front of one of the restaurants in the parking lane for outdoor seating. That Saturday evening, we hosted Taste of Avenue 3, offering a small sampling of food donated from all the restaurants, and over 700 folks from the neighborhood and elsewhere made it a fun evening, and one that everyone said, "This is what we want in downtown, hooray!" Well, unfortunately, there were real world challenges that began to frustrate all of our efforts. The event permit was from the city, but the county insisted the city paint over the colors, which they did with black tar. We aimed to repaint the parking lanes, maybe with different colors that the county will approve. And since the Flagler end of the street is closed for the next year, this is our time to finish the job of creating Avenue 3 Short Street, always with the help of volunteers. In 2019, we applied for and received an award of funds from the Public Space Challenge to improve the overhead lighting on Short Street. So notice the lights in the photo at the bottom. They'll be affixed high up on the buildings. This will accomplish what we had always wanted, kind of an overhead lighting situation, which would brighten the street and show off the colors and the parking lanes and the sidewalks and answer a long-time concern. By affixing it to the building, the same thing will be accomplished at a far lower cost. And you can imagine the maintenance, how windy it becomes downtown of trying to manage overhead hanging lights. It's not going to work. We're looking for leaders to help make the vision a reality for downtown. Remembering those early change makers, Julia Tuttle and Henry Flagler. Look at what has become of Miami today. Now watch this short video. Yes, there are plenty of reasons to rejoice the good fortune of our city, but there are also challenges we haven't yet overcome. And community outreach is the next one I hope you'll agree can be improved in our city. While it's true, other cities in America fare even worse in combating homelessness, our terrific location and good weather will assure a worsening of our situation unless more is done. Compared to other cities with tens of thousands of unsheltered homeless living on the streets, we currently only have 1,000 unsheltered homeless persons in our city, and most of them are in downtown. With the technology now available for us to use, I am convinced we must change how we view our situation. It starts by remembering they aren't a different people. They are us, except their lives have included circumstances leading them to be homeless and living on the streets. This has prompted us to advocate for a pilot project named appropriately 1,000 Miami Stories. It started when I met Merlin, who was sleeping outside the AT&T store on Southeast 1st, next to Southeast 3rd Avenue, next to the Starbucks. And every morning he awakened and I would smile at him as I greeted him. Hello. He never asked me for anything. And so one day I struck up a conversation. I learned he had moved to Miami with his mom, who recently passed, but he had skills on an iPad creating anime drawings. He was artistic. I helped him get his driver's license reinstated, and I'm happy today he's employed and living in an apartment again. Or Victoria, who I spotted most mornings outside my home at Biscayne. I learned she came to Miami from Havana in 1963, and because of a failed marriage and the tragic death of her young daughter from a gun shooting years before, she ended up on the streets. I connected her to Lotus House, a shelter for women, and I hope the success I saw happen last year is continuing. Or Sean. Here, let me play this short video of our conversation.
Hey, Sean. Hey, what was the most emotional moment you remember when you became homeless?
The most emotional was when I couldn't go home for Thanksgiving for whatever reason, and like that took a toll on me because it's like, wow, that's like the one day I wish I could go home. But yeah, I couldn't. It was pretty bad.
Okay. What is your story? Why did you become homeless?
Also, it came down to bad decisions. I lost my job recently. I was at Whole Foods, but I'm not there no more, unfortunately. I was in school. I lost my financial aid. That's what also led to my recent homelessness because I'm using it for housing. And like I said, just bad choices or bad decisions.
What did you do at Whole Foods?
How's the breast today?
Did you enjoy that?
Yes, I loved it.
You loved it?
Yeah.
You got to meet all kinds of folks.
Yeah, I just love making coffee too.
For people who see this video, what do you want them to know? What would you want them to do?
Mostly not judge everyone, like not put them all under one category. To care for us, because we're all human too. And hopefully we can provide more resources to help the homeless people, like a day shelter or anything that can just help us to get, move forward.
Thank you, Sean.
I'm happy to say that Sean's a work in progress. I've been friends now for about 3 or 4 months. And recently we were interviewed on Channel 10, he and I. And I was so proud watching that interview with him dressed in a white shirt, clean up. And he's really proud of his ability as a photographer. So he's been helping me film video of other persons who are in a similar situation for the new pilot program, 1000 Miami Stories. He's a bright young guy. But what are all the issues that really the community is confronting regarding homelessness? We've all felt the unsafe feeling walking on downtown streets, especially after dark. And we've seen how dirty the sidewalks become from persons sleeping in the doorways of stores and alongside the buildings in downtown. How garbage gathers after well-intentioned feedings by churches and other groups that aren't being cleaned up afterwards. Instead, it requires the city police department or firemen to come conduct cleanup sweeps at great expense to the taxpayers. Health and sanitation are more at risk for everyone, but the real impact is the economic one on businesses that suffer the consequence of there not being enough being done to reduce the number of unserved, unsheltered persons on our streets. And in our opinion, we can do better. A vital neighborhood begins when we realize everyone must become involved, and there are many untapped resources we've identified that aren't being used. I recently attended a week's evening training class at the Miami Police Department's Citizen Police Academy in downtown, and I recommend you check it out. The poster shows the class started again this week, but again next month and the following month, the dates and how to apply. Today's abundance of new apps includes specific ones I know which would help our situation. They're already in use in other cities with worse numbers than Miami has. Imagine, if we were on the West Coast in San Francisco, they have such a huge problem with almost 50,000 unsheltered, unserved persons on the street. Seattle with 20,000, LA, New York, Chicago. Our numbers are only 1,000. Imagine what we are on the verge of accomplishing if we merely focus on having the means to communicate more effectively between all stakeholders. I'm excited about working with Thriving Minds, which is a new entity that has promised to work with Judge Stephen Leifman, who's who's the county judge in charge of our mental health division. He's been hard at work for years to retrofit and reopen an old hospital in the Alapata area. I've toured it several times. I'm going to take another tour soon, I hope. It's going to be ready to open next spring. It'll be amazing because it'll be one place that persons with suffering from mental illness will be able to go to receive the help they need immediately, to even lead to housing opportunities for them. So it's pretty exciting. But imagine, look at this chart and look around the circle at all the stakeholders. Today, they don't have a means of communicating real time. They don't have a means of being able to build the information database we need to reduce the number of persons that are being unserved on the street. Outreach Grid is such an app. It's being used. I learned about it in Fort Worth, Texas, of all places, where I moved from. I'm so proud to report that Fort Worth, which is a larger city than Miami, believe it or not, almost 1 million people now, their numbers have dwindled to like on one hand. They have pretty much eliminated unserved homeless. There are no homeless downtown if you go to Fort Worth, Texas. And one reason simply is by using a product like Outreach Grid. They've been able to centralize all the information in such a way that everyone benefits and everyone's ideas come to the forefront. We need that here. Reducing from 1,000 the number of unserved, unsheltered homeless in downtown Miami. What does that also accomplish? We can build Avenue 3 Short Street into a new destination in downtown. Other cities have succeeded in doing this on their urban streets, and We believe Miami can do this also. Look at the photo on the left. Just a little side comment. See all those flowers? Did you know that 90% of the flowers that are brought into the United States from places like Ecuador and Latin America, they come in through Miami? There's an entire industry of small companies and farms that support that industry, and we don't celebrate it in Miami. I would love for Short Street not only to celebrate its history, but maybe become Flower Street by introducing flower bombs and other things to really welcome people to the street. We've got 20 restaurants. Oh my God, what a destination. Look at the photo in the center. How much fun it would be to have regular events scheduled downtown on Avenue 3, Short Street. Where do you come in? Well, what thoughts or ideas do you have? What questions do you have? We should have time in just a few minutes to explore them, but oh my gosh, think about what we could accomplish if all of us just put our minds towards this. And so I hope you'll think about it. I mean, whether you can paint or you create or you design or you love to organize or just be an advocate, fill in the blank. I mean, we need your leadership skills, period. And we believe in giving back. One thought we have is to create a certificate or other means of recognizing your leadership that helps accomplish our shared vision, something that will translate to your resume. As I've said, we need leaders. We need change makers, just as this city has always benefited from. And this is our email address, avenue3miami@gmail. Please take a photo of this screen and do it right now. I mean, just send me an email, avenue3miami@gmail.com. Send me your contact information. We've got time now, though. I purposely have shortened this presentation for Short Street in such a way that we're leaving plenty of time for questions and answers and whatever. And so I'm hoping if Elizabeth will help me, or Adriana help me, whatever, we'll just bring everybody back to the screen and open this up for conversation. And I think somebody has been keeping track. Anna, you said you keep track of some of the questions that maybe have already come. So I need that 13-year-old on my shoulder to tell me what to do now. I guess if I stop sharing, I can do that for right now.
Yeah, let's start with that.
Yeah, so let's see how I do that. Let's see, go here. There.
And then just scroll down and there you go.
There we are. All right.
Perfect.
Okay, behind me, you see part of that, one of the two blocks of Avenue 3 as it looks today. All right. And I'm going to change my view so I see everybody that's on the call gallery. There we are. All right. Thank you so much for being part of this presentation today.
Our pleasure, Steve. Thanks for sharing with us.
You bet. What questions have come up already in your minds? Somebody come up with a question.
Oh,
Who's going to pay? I'm sorry, go ahead.
Angie's got a question. She came off mute.
Okay. Hi, Angie.
Hi, how are you?
I'm
just
great.
trying to remember 20 years ago when I came to Miami, downtown was kind of a scary place to go at night.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm so happy and I'm proud to see all your, common efforts to improve the city and to make us proud to all of us that live here. But as you said, there is so many things that we can do. So
there really are, and there's so many things we're not trying any longer. You know, the county homeless trust has done a magnificent job compared with other cities. Certainly, we've reduced, as you said, from 20 years ago. The numbers were much worse than they are today. But my fear is that we've stopped trying, in part because, again, the silos that have been created by the nonprofits, by the county and by the city and whatever, they don't have a means of easily communicating between them. I've walked with the Green Shirts, which was a great program. It's formerly homeless persons that are hired by the city to go out and network with the homeless, but it's not really working at its full capacity any longer. I've been with them, and one of the most important reasons is that currently all the shelters report the number of available beds at the same time at 10 o'clock each morning. Imagine this, I'm walking behind Macy's, right? Right now it's cleaned up pretty much, but you've seen it when it wasn't. They'll have 70, 80 people sleeping on the sidewalk right behind Macy's. I'm out there in the morning with one of the 5 or 6 Green Shirts, and They took 17 requests. The one person took 17 requests for a bed that morning. People wanted to come inside. They were tired of being on the street. Okay, that was one of 6 people taking orders. 10 o'clock came. There were 2 shelter beds in the entire city available. How can that be? We've got 3,000 shelter beds built in the city of Miami. The problem is most of them are full every night because we have taken people in. We don't want to make them homeless again, so they live at the shelters. Shelters were never designed for that. They were intended to be 90-day centers as a temporary place for housing. Honest to God, ladies, there are women with children living at our shelters. They've been there for a couple of years. There's nowhere for them to move to, or they don't have the resource yet to move out. I don't think the general community knows that. If we did, we'd be doing something about it. It's just that everyone's operating in a silo. So again, going back to that screen that showed Outreach Grid, how it connects everyone on one simple database. Imagine being on your phone and being able to contribute information to a central database that everyone can. What we do right now, this is no fault, it's just a reality. We have a hotline. Okay. Think about when hotlines came into existence, about 1970, right? A central place where you call in and you get a recording and you wait. Press 1 if you need food, press 2 if you need clothing, 3 if you need housing. Well, where's the button that I need it all, right? And we're presuming that somebody's going to answer it. Generally, they don't. I've actually been there and watched the ladies that answer the phone, and they have thousands of calls every day, but nothing is really translated or becoming from that. And so it's time we need to change that. We've got apps today and technology today that works. I'm pleased to say, I hope, maybe even next week. I had a meeting scheduled last week, and then the tragedy in Surfside caused it to have to be rescheduled, certainly. But Mayor Cava's senior staff is going to meet with me, the head of public service, the head of public safety, the head of human services, the head of technology, and the homeless trust are going to meet with me. And they're going to see a lot of this presentation. But my goal is to convince them that this is the time now when we can make a change. And so anyway, I'm pretty excited about it. Questions? Thoughts?
We actually had one in the chat from Michelle, and she wants to know if you can speak a bit more about the pilot program that you said of the 1,000 stories and
Yes.
how many people you've interviewed so far.
Well, I've got on camera interviewed about 6, 7 people, whatever. The Samaritan app is the other app that I'm really proud for this city to launch. In fact, the mayor is real excited about it. He's actually given some funding to enable us to launch the pilot, I hope this fall. And it's an app that was built in Seattle, of all places, by Jonathan Kumar. I went out there just before COVID, and I met with him and his staff, and I'm so excited. Imagine this. This is controversial when you first hear it, but stay with me, all right? Most homeless have phones. They can get one. The government will pay to give them a phone. It's a way to keep in touch with them, all right? It's just that we don't have the apps to go along with it and haven't trained them and whatever. We're going to look for 100 homeless volunteers in a Samaritan program. They're going to be able to tell their story online, and you might be walking in a couple blocks from them or whatever. You're going to get an alert. Oh, Jonathan, he's one of the volunteers in the Samaritan program. You're going to learn his story, a very brief description of his story. You may be intrigued enough by his story to offer a donation. All right, maybe $5, $10, whatever. If you make it on a monthly basis, all the better. This program in the pilot in Seattle created a situation where persons on the street could receive $400 or $500 a month of sustainable income. It couldn't just be, it's not cash. They can't go out and buy a drink and whatever and misuse the funds, but they can work with a case manager, set goals for themselves. Now that they have steady income, they can achieve those goals, and hope comes back into their life. And it reduces the number of people that are suffering. The problem in Seattle is they started with 20,000. We've only got 1,000. Think of how much better we could do with an app like that here. And so the pilot program is to recruit 100 volunteers. And the prediction is that at least half of them will be into housing by the end of the program's period, the first year. It's just so exciting thinking of what we possibly can do. And it's an all volunteer situation. I've met with the folks at the ACLU. They're excited because they said, hey, you know, it's voluntary. It's not a problem. There's no problem. They're not going to go back into court and sue the city or sue us over the fact that, you know, we're trying to impact the number of homeless people. We're trying to help them. But think of all of the ideas that will come from being able to centralize a database so that we all have a better understanding of what works and what doesn't. So it's pretty exciting. I hope to launch that this fall. There are obstacles. One of the obstacles is the silos that already exist. You know, it's, oh my God, I've got to have another program. I've got to learn something new. We're going to make it as easy as we can. And I think working with Thriving Minds on the opening of this hospital, Judge Leifman's told me, Steve, let's make it happen. So I need leaders. I need people who have talents that exist in this community to just join us and make it happen. There are so many groups. I want to talk to the Beacon Council. I want to talk, I go regularly to the DDA meetings. I want to talk to the DDA. You know, they used to have a homeless task force. They've given up. I mean, I'm sure the chamber can relate to this. Most of these issues regarding homelessness, people have given up. Oh, nothing ever seemed to work. This one will work. It's already proven it works in other cities. And so I'm excited to bring it here. I said earlier, that's why I'm here. I worked in this field. I know this is the part we missed out on. This is the part that you have to start over with again. It starts with the people on the street. They're the only ones that can change behavior. We can't mandate it. We can't force them. We can't say, well, you need housing. You need to do this. No, they have to want to do it in the first place. They have to want to change their life. And we're going to inspire them to do it.
That's so beautiful.
Resources to do it.
That's absolutely beautiful, Steve. I think we need to get you more embedded into the chamber. So that
Well, God bless you. Well, just don't make me join the chamber. I can't afford it. I'm retired and I'm not looking for a job.
No, we get it.
I want to be a catalyst to this. You know, let's talk about the street briefly if we've still got time, because I think we do. The street is the exciting part of Avenue 3, and I get that, all right? The hard work comes with homeless, or it comes with building community and whatever. The fun part comes with events and changing the character of Avenue 3. You know, look at Giralda Plaza, Coral Gables. You know, a little side story. I applied in 2017. That was the first time we applied for the Public Space Challenge. And I showed them a picture of these umbrellas over the street. And oh my God, they were so excited about it. They used that picture the next year, 2018, and I didn't apply. Coral Gables snapped it up and they did umbrellas in the sky. If you remember when they first, it was an amazing event. Well, it wouldn't have really worked on Avenue 3 anyway. It's too windy. It probably would have been a disaster for us. So we have to deal with the challenges we have in the neighborhood we're in or whatever. But that's one example. Espanola Way. I visited with all the restaurants in Espanola Way and the owners of the businesses. You know, they were closed for 2 years as they dug up the street. That's what's happening on Flagler now. It's closed for the next 3 years. Well, I promised all the businesses on Short Street, we're not going to do that. We're not going to do that. We're going to cosmetically change the street. If we widen the sidewalk, we're going to have to dig the street up. It'll be closed for a year plus, whatever. We'll just cosmetically change it. Why? Over your right side, my left shoulder over here, that gray building, that's the old Galleria building. That's for sale, $90 million. You can buy it and tear it down. It's been there for 50 years. It's an old building. But, you know, we hate to lose it, but it'll become a tower probably in the next 5 years. And the empty lot, remember where the bus station was? Same thing. It's for sale eventually. So I know that the life that I'm predicting, this vision, is probably a 3 to 5 year lifespan. And then construction will have to change the character of it. But we want to show whoever buys those buildings the same thing that everybody who lives downtown is going to see. Oh my God, we don't want it to disappear. We don't want Avenue 3 to disappear, Short Street. And so they'll do what they can to protect the commerce that we're building by taking the action now to make this a destination.
Awesome.
I've got a piece of news. Let me share this. Back to the homeless real quick. You know, one of the challenges that the Homeless Trust had or has had in the past is thinking through, well, is this, you know, what if this doesn't work? Or, you know, oh my God, there's just so much we have to learn. And they've got a very small staff. I don't have any staff. They've got a very small staff. What's exciting is the University of Miami School of Sociology, Dr. Alex Piquero. So Steve, let's make this happen. We'll just evaluate it. From the beginning to the end of the whole bit, we'll have data that will help us in making it a successful program. Well, I then was led to the University of Virginia School of Engineering. And Dr. William Scherer is a leader in our country in systems engineering. He is so excited about joining our team that he also wants to model or to mimic the Miami pilot project and do it in Charlottesville, where the campus is that he's at, Charlottesville, Virginia. And so I've connected him to the Thomas Jefferson Area Coalition for the Homeless to get their buy-in. And but by doing so and having it in 2 locations like that, it can become a capstone project. This project will be a national model. And by having the 2 universities to help evaluate it and everything else, I'm over the moon.
That's awesome.
So thinking about the prospect. So where does it start here? I need recruits. I need volunteers. I need leaders. I need people to connect us to the various organizations. We'll give a presentation like this. I can shorten it, I can lengthen it, whatever. We just need to get people to believe that Miami is the magic city. It is resilient, and it can be the first city on the East Coast to end homelessness. It really can, if we just all work together at it.
That would be amazing. Steve, thank you so much. I know some of the members on here have already emailed you to get connected. Michelle says, as she can tell, you're incredibly passionate about your work, and she works on Flagler and is very much looking forward to staying connected. So thank you. Does anybody else have any more questions?
I'm going to show you just one last thing. This is, again, just a reminder. Thank you for listening to the presentation today. I hope you'll email me right away. Send me your contact information. Remember, this is our email address, and share with me what you do. I don't know what industries you represent. I don't know what positions you have or whatever, but golly, I made this my community. I decided to make this my hometown, as I said, 3 years ago, and I don't regret that at all. But, you know, it's a challenge. We're all busy. I respect that. But if we'll just give a little more attention to Avenue 3 and Short Street, we're going to make some amazing things happen that we'll all be proud of.
That's
Thank
awesome.
you. Good afternoon.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you. Any other last questions or thoughts before we call it a wrap up? All right, I think we're good. Steve, I know people will reach out to you. We can go ahead and share this on our alumni newsletter as well. Ellie, you and I can talk about how to get that up on YouTube. And thank you all for joining us on this Tuesday.
Don't forget the July 27th event at Miami-Dade College too. It's a partnership between Avenue 3 and DAS, the Downtown Arts and Science Salon. It's a wonderful event to learn the history of downtown Miami from the very start, and it's followed by a reception at the new Waldorf Astoria Residences and Towers. That's a 100-story building. You got to see the presentation they make. It's amazing. So that's July 27th, starting at 7 o'clock, Miami-Dade College. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much, Steve.
I didn't want to leave without, I feel guilty, but Steve, I don't know if you heard about the Homie Summit, but we are supporting, the part of our project was supporting the Youth Voice Action Council, and who are with the Homie Collective. And
Yes,
we have a summit tomorrow. I did send it to you in an email, but I just want to send it to the group that if you are available tomorrow between 10 and 1, I think your experience and your feedback would be overwhelmingly priceless to be able to share and listen to the initiatives.
I'll try and be part of that. I've always had you guys in my mind, because when I first conceived of the pilot project, I thought about, you know, volunteers to go out and meet with the homeless, this and that, and that may still be part of it.
Yes.
But since this has been planned now for a couple of years, we've got green shirts, we've got the ambassadors downtown that are excited about the prospect of being involved. And so, you know, you always have to be concerned about, well, volunteers going out meeting with the homeless, that type of thing.
Well, you have these Youth Voice Action Council who are looking to be, you know, these stewards and advocates, and who better than people who have experienced homelessness or
that's true. No, that's very true.
Years of trying to fight. So
I forget his name, but I contacted Educate Tomorrow, I know, and they were interested, because we might even be able to help financially some of the students that.
Well, this will help break down those silos you were mentioning.
Okay.
Because I do believe that. I think that, you know, collaboration is the way. And it is very challenging because everyone has different funding, different everything, that maybe this would be a great, but again, and everyone else who'd like to attend, this is a great opportunity maybe to learn a little bit more.
Absolutely, Monica, you're my new best friend. We're gonna do it. I'll be on there tomorrow, okay?
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Adriana, as always. Anna, thank you.